I have not taken advantage of some incredible food. I noticed.
No, those are mine.
You just
Those
put
are my fries.
what'd you get? What'd you get?
Those are garlic parmesan fries I got over from.
I understand. They're your fries. I won't touch your fries. It'd be nice if you offered your friend one.
All right,
but
fine.
I'm Moon. This is Matt Rocky. We are live on 101 ESPN's YouTube right now for a live Soccer 101 broadcast barbecue, or the I-70 Derby here, while St. Louis City SC is about to take on Sporting KC. 7:30 start this evening. We got a lot to talk about. We're going to talk about some anticipated lineups because, yeah, the lineup's probably going to come out.
Don't know it yet, but we got about 30 minutes to make some predictions here on what the starting 11 could be for tonight.
Yeah, so we can speculate a little bit. We'll talk about past results with this rivalry, and I've heard of the MLS broadcasts and different shows that are talking about the MLS say they start arguing. Can you have a rivalry with only one season under the belt?
Of course you can. Of course you can, because it's bigger than just the soccer teams. This is a city soccer clubs. You know, it's been kind of soft over the years. You know, the Rams and Chiefs were never a thing. The Royals and Cardinals, if you're not older, you don't really have, you know, the 85, you know, animosity. So they're technically not in state because they play in Kansas. So we'll give them a little leeway there. So when you have an in who said right out of the gate, I want revenge.
Yeah.
You don't say that about just any game. You say that about a rival.
I agree with you there. I mean, had that not happened, though, I can understand some pushbacks. I mean, are we rivals with Chicago Fire?
No, not at all.
Well, we hate Chicago. It is a rivalry because of the history last year. Obviously, they're the ones that bounced us out of the playoffs, and it hurt. But the results. Let's just talk about past results with SKC v. STL. In May, I believe it was, St. Louis 4-0.
They walloped them.
4-0 over Kansas City. 1 victory over St. Louis. Then
I like that less.
St. Louis came back again.
What's there?
I was going to say St. Louis was great up until the 4-1 loss to KC in the playoffs round 1, and then of course they bounced us in at 2-1 on the replay. Maybe for Sporting KC because of what they did in such a historic and incredible first season. So
I also appreciate the unintentional venom that the team has caused by it being a lot of Europeans who don't necessarily understand that calling it Kansas is a low-key dig. And I just like them. Listen, if you look at this rivalry, it's very specific, and I think this is a fascinating part, which is a lot of Kansas City fans, when they come here to watch the game, are able to jump on the train because you get off city, you got to drive because you essentially have to have a rental car from their train station to get to their stadium. It's not in Kansas City, and so we got to dig them for it. And
maybe this is all on brand. As far as our show goes, you know, I'm just the diehard fan that just likes to scream at the podcast. I say, yeah, I do. I would love to yell some more about, you know, just my emotions in the sport. And, of course, you know, I show up.
By the way, you talk about yelling a lot. It's all very positive yelling.
That's positive yelling. St. Louis City windbreaker here. Look at this. You know, because I'm the yelling fan. You're the professional here. You're supposed to be the professional. And look at this. You show up in neutral grays
I had to do
and
it.
like
Yeah,
on. That's St. Louis City SC.
I had to. I'm sorry.
So professional.
I had to do it. I'm sorry.
I appreciate it.
I'm sorry.
But I gotta elbow you.
Let's just go with the groupings right now, right out of the gate with the defense. Last week against Austin FC, the defense played as Tim Parker and Kyle Hebert in the middle, and then you had Anthony Marcanic and Thomas Tull. Always great. From his article on the pre-match presser, he says that Nielsen is feeling fine after missing 2 games with a fractured rib. Carnell said he looks good to go. Do you expect to see him starting against Sporting Kansas City
honestly,
tonight?
I don't. Not this soon. And honestly, wouldn't give him the shot to start because I don't think KC solidify, gel, whatever the word may be, just get a little bit more minutes on the battlefield as far as that goes. I also saw some arguments on who this game, what should this mean more to City or does to City? Much, much, much more important to City. I know KC has got a lot on their plate with blowing leads or getting more minutes to gel on the start at least is a good opportunity to let the offense pick apart what KC does not bring as far as defense.
You're absolutely right. And let's actually break. It has been up and down, but it's scored early and it's scored often. 3 straight home games, they've dropped points after leading. 4 of their last 5 home games, they've actually lost it, and it's been in. They've had a 2-0 lead and they've had a 3-0 lead at home, and they've gotten 2 points from those 4 games, 2 draws, and they've lost the other 2 games. That's pretty 50 out of a potential 15 from home right now. Sporting Kansas City is dying for a home win. City being the one that falls would be perfect for them, but I really do think this is City's game to take tonight, and I think it's the bigger game for them.
Yeah, I think it does mean a lot to Sporting KC, and that was the argument that you made for the people that said that it meant more for Sporting KC, is that because it's a home match and they've more to St. Louis City, because they're still trying to figure out what the heck what the heck is the philosophy? You know what I mean? And
well, it changes game to game depending on who you're facing, and that's going to be a big thing tonight. We're going to talk about that a little bit later about how this match is down. So let's keep moving on through our potential starting 11 tonight. Last weekend it was Chris Durkin and Tomas Ostrak with the midfield 2. I don't see any change coming with that. Chris Durkin's been incredible since they acquired him. Obviously, you have to give away a guy like Stroud, who your start player for City this year. He's been amazing, and I think he's going to be crucial today.
I love Ostrak. We've been talking about him for more than a season now, and I love him because true enemy is the unpredictability of Ostrak, and I'm not saying he's crazy out there. I'm just saying he'll get the ball and shoot when lots, especially with these keepers that you're going against that are not necessarily world class, like Berkey. Berkey's a world class keeper.
Yes, he is.
Not all these other guys are world class, really making a difference.
Let's look at the attacking 4 last week against Austin. Indiana Vasilev, Celio Pompeu, João Klaus, and the final group right out the bat. I think we know that the striker group's probably not going to change. It's probably going to be João Klaus because, well, Sam Adeniran's not training with the team and will not be traveling with the team, I don't think, and so at least will not be on the bench today. So no Adeniran at the striker spot. So I think, do you see that same group coming out?
I don't know. That was something that as I watched some more highlights from last week, I thought, I'm not sure if Alm is I don't know. There's been a couple opportunities where there were some missed crosses or opportunities that could have been moved a little faster, which is where I missed Stroud.
No, you put Rasmus Alm in a gun that says press, and then you fire him wherever you ever crosses or anything from him. Although against a team like Sporting Kansas City, you're right, that could be the thing. This isn't going to be a very transition-heavy game, so maybe you want a more tactical player than the more chaotic player.
I understand the chaos, and I don't think the chaos will be. They kind of picked apart what we had been announcing as our philosophy the entire season last year, and it sort of
okay.
bit.
So no Alm for you. Maybe you go with a more tactical player in the attack. Who you switching out? Who's hit
defense these last few weeks? That's the reason that they're blowing these leads. They're making some really flat-footed mistakes.
I like them coming off the bench then. Bring him out there in the 60th minute, and then just let him outrun a more tired defense.
Which is why I count some defense, maybe as a sub, maybe as a starter. But I think that Ostrak, Alm, Jackson might make a huge difference in opening up some space for Klaus on a flat-footed defense.
I'm actually Vasilev as the other 3 along with Klaus as our attackers today. So that's our predictions. Really only one, but not a lot of questions about who the striker is going to be today because of the Sam Adeniran situation. We talked about it in our last episode that you guys can all check out on the 101. The situation with Sam hasn't been training up to the level that they want. The intensity, the effort level hasn't been there at training, and obviously that's created a little bit of a rift. He's training away from the team at this point. He will not be on the bench tonight. That's the full expectation, and that's really all there is to it. He's going to have to show this team that there's been
any information beyond that, beyond what the coach said, which was that Sam was going to be training on his own for the time being.
Pretty decisive.
And it seemed worth a lot of people texting or emailing us saying, "Oh, what about this? What about that?" Maybe it was a religious thing for some time where hymning didn't work out. So with all these theories, again, we know nothing else other than what Coach said last week, and that was that Sam's man obviously has to play the game.
It's shocking how young some of these guys are when you think about it.
We had
Ostrak's like 24. Vasilev's like
you're like what 27 now, anyways.
32,
I don't know,
but yeah,
like that.
I haven't gotten much smarter.
But yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like we all made really silly mistakes as 20
exactly.
and 25-year-olds, and we weren't elite athletes.
I also didn't have my own clothing brand.
Exactly. So we weren't elite. sort of youthful mistake. But then, we just had a listener of the show over here talking about how 25 isn't young, especially for a striker like Sam that he's supposed to, and it all works out. This guy could have a really solid career, even if he loses a step, even if he loses some speed, because of his height, because of his skill, because of his finishing. This guy could be a Peter Crouch kind.
St. Louis. The goaltenders in hockey are a little bit crazy, a little bit head casey. The goalies in soccer aren't necessarily like that. The strikers, though, are definitely like that. They're getting his chances. He's getting in the good spots. He's getting his shots. He's just not putting in the shots he should be. And so you think there's a mindset. And in the Premier League, he scored a lot of goals against some very top competition. He was talking about how Klaus needs to show City some more. And he made an interesting comparison that I had to bring onto the show because you're a big Manchester United fan, and I think there's fan in his comparison to Klaus, obviously not the same talent level, but stylistically, his comparison was Dimitar Berbatov.
Go back and watch highlights. You're just like, this guy was awesome, was a master. When he came into the team, he came from wherever it was, Tottenham or some other place. So I've been watching him for a number, and the guy had a completely different sort of style of attacking. It was almost relaxed in this weird way, like his posturing, his running, his accepting of the ball, all of it looked just in this style where once you started seeing the results, you go, oh my gosh, this guy is so good. He just kind of does.
You could use some Berbatov.
I love hearing that comparison.
See some of the scoring.
Yeah, I love hearing that comparison because Berbatov was a finisher. He was a classy finisher, and Klaus can be too. We've seen that as well. I can't shake it. Like match one or match day 1, match day 2 for City, and Klaus had a goal, and they said this guy looks like a deer running.
Okay,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, he does run a little goofy,
and I
still
can understand how that seems like a turnoff when you're not finishing, but then when you watch Klaus, he's a really good player, like you said. I think he's already shown that he's got a heck of a soccer IQ. He's a smart guy. He knows where to be. He knows where to hold up. That last goal pass was perfect. Klaus is a smart guy. He's a great guy. And I think that comparison with Berbatov should have a lot of you City fans out there looking up Dimitar Berbatov highlights because you're going to see a lot of comparisons. And the problem with that is you're going to see all these great goals from Berbatov. And then you're going
to big thing I think that a lot of people have been talking about this week is just kind of the Klaus and Sam comparisons. It just and Matt Baker, who does a great podcast and works over at 550, does those in minutes, 365 days between Klaus and Adeniran. And it was essentially the exact same statistical profile that they have this season that we went in our last podcast, which is Klaus gets back, links up, puts on a very good shot. Whereas Adeniran carries the ball a little bit more at his feet to get his shot. Doesn't have that natural work rate that Klaus has, and he can still be an incredible player, and he can still be very useful. In fact, it is a bummer to not get a big 6'5" striker to throw crosses into that he can blast it at the net. That'd be pretty useful to have tonight against Sporting Kansas City, and you're not going to have it. But I think there's a reason pretty clearly that explains his effort wasn't going on, and I think the only question about whether or not it gets solved is just going to be whether or not Sam locks in a training.
Yeah, I am going to miss Sam tonight just because I think he could have been really effective against this particular defense. Again, I'll say without Sam, sad to see that he's not going to be there. But I think if Klaus is being Klaus and causing some sort of chaos for that back four just to get them on their heels a little bit, that Klaus breaking the line there on
defense, because that's the big thing. The playoff matches that they lost is burned into my memory, and I'll never forget City being able to just carry the ball the entire game and being able to do nothing with it. But I think if you look at City this year, the biggest improvement they've made is playing with the ball more and not just lean. How do you think they're going to do it? I think you got to look again back at that Dallas game. The problem there is, and Bradley Carnell talked about this on Thursday, he talked about that they've grown a lot in passing accuracy, but scoring goals is difficult, right? And so that's the thing, is we saw them improve against this kind of defense, but they didn't get the goals. And so the question tonight is going to be, can they duplicate that kind of effort that they had against back on their heels defense, set in defense? Can they consistently get good shots against them? That's going to be the big question tonight.
Yeah, it's all about it's all about getting control in takers. We've got the Klaus. We've got the Ostrak. We've got all these guys. We've got the shot takers. We have to get inside of that 18. Like you said, last year, dangerous. You're not dangerous. Sure, have the ball. Keep the ball out there. As long as we control this 18.
The more annoying part is that it wasn't just midfield possession. I mean, they got nothing actually in the box, and that's something in the bad games for City this year. That's been their big problem, is getting touches. The big thing here, though, is when it comes to playing Sporting Kansas City, one question is, can you break down their defense? And City's shown that they last year, which is they got beat on the counterattack multiple times in a very bad way. The problem there is that has not been improved necessarily from City this year. They've still gotten caught on the counterattack by very talented players. One big thing is that Logan Ndembe, who obviously tore his ACL in the playoff. Problem, though, is that Sporting Kansas City hasn't exactly lacked getting some talent going. Obviously, Shalloway is there. He had a break much like João Klaus's. I hope it's not tonight. Eric Tommy has been very good this year, and then William Agata has been fantastic for them. You look at Tommy at their position in the MLS this season. So it worries me a little bit that they have this kind of speed and this kind of attack when the counterattack has been so good for them and so bad for City. So my big question is going to be, does City play a little bit more conservative and not get...
I don't know. I was thinking about that earlier, too, is you have a team that is struggling at home, that's blown leads over and over. They're, like you said, they've been getting some early goals. Does the game feel it out and not worry so much if Casey gets some opportunities first?
Here's the thing. I'm talking about them being conservative. City has never played a conservative game, and I just don't think it's in Bradley Carnell's left side. We're toddling down the right side. And that worries me a little bit because it's probably going to be Hebert and Parker. If it is Hebert and Nielsen, you can tell me he's fine all you want, but again, 2 cracked ribs isn't exactly an easy thing to get through. And so I'm just a little bit worried about the exposure on the counterattack because that's not like they haven't scored. They put up 2 goals against Miami, 3 goals in the first half against the Sounders. They let up 3 goals in the second half. But we're worried about the other part right now.
Yeah, they do. They do risk a lot with Marcanic out there.
They do.
Always wanting to go.
I love. That's why this comes down to can Carnell change his mind, or is he going if it's going to bite him again? Because it has.
Marcanic also seems like the kind of guy that if you have a plan to tell him to be conservative, it's going to last 8 minutes.
It's probably not going to go well for you. No.
Well, I'm just saying. Like I think by minute 15, Marcanic is somebody to watch in these first 15 minutes and see how high he's playing. Just see what kind of line they're playing, and then we can kind of develop a sense of what coach is going for this particular match. It's gonna be good when we got a lot of friends out there.
The crosses that we saw in the Dallas game, it was 40 crosses they connected on. I think I saw a number where they connected on 4 of them. I mean or maybe it was 10 of 40. It was a defense you're going to see. It's going to be a better version of the counterattack because Dallas's counterattack isn't at the level I really think of the talent level of Sporting Kansas City. Last time they got us. It was rough, and City has not proven 100% this year. Broke down all the MLS teams yesterday. It's a great article, and it kind of shows, compared to last year, how is the team doing this year. And some good news is, underlying metrics, City's gone above average offensive and defensive team. On the other hand, Sporting Kansas City last year was bad offense, good defense. They're now don't take them lightly because they will literally get you when you're not looking.
Well, that's the beautiful game. Is every game starts 0-0 and anything can happen. But I think KC has shown less energy, less spirit this year than they did last year, and we're just missing those finishes. Hopefully, Klaus can really start to turn it on and get his finish starts tonight. But I think KC goes into this nervous. I think St. Louis has something to prove, is upset about last year, wants to prove not only everything that we missed out on last year was supposed to be ours, but that they have a lot more. Kansas City's supposed to go in here scared. They're bummed. They're not looking good at home. They're scared to lose another one at home. They're, like you said, their metrics aren't good. They know it. They're feeling it. Did you watch the Miami game?
Yeah, it was a good crowd. Credit to them for getting that many people. And Arrowhead was a very good environment. They scored another goal, but they were never in it again.
They just didn't look like they should have in front of that crowd, in front of those legends. They didn't look like. I feel like a team could have gotten beaten 6-2 and could have.
See in tonight's game, and to do that, I'm going to ask you man of the match, who you got for a goal scorer. And to do that, before you answer, you have to know who actually is in the sport tonight against Sporting Kansas City. Let's run right through it. You're going to be shocked at who's the goaltender tonight. It's Roman Berkey.
All right.
Here's the back four for your defense: Thomas Totland, Tim Parker, Kyle Hebert, Anthony Marcanic. No changes there. So, but I like the move there. Again, coming back from the rib injury, I like giving Kyle Hebert and Parker another run after a clean sheet last week.
I agree. Keep them together. Let them gel a little bit more.
Speaking of that, Chris Durkin and Tomas Ostrak is your center midfield. We love that. We're going to talk a little bit more about Ostrak here. And, of course, is your striker up top. So, no change there. Turns out they're not going to go with A.Z. Jackson. He's going to be coming off the bench once again. So, there is your starting 11. With that in mind, I'm going to need a scoring a goal. And that'd be a pretty terrible prediction if they didn't.
Oh, man. You know what? With this setup against KC, I see Ostrak having a really good opportunity to get, though, that I'm going to go out there and say that maybe Ostrak is man of the match. First goal, and man of, but he's got the confidence. You can see him. He's running. He's moving with the confidence. Same for Vasilev. He's starting to look a bit more confident, and I think that's all going to.
Klaus and Ostrak's going to take the man of the match home. I like the predictions there, Moon. Really quickly, since you're predicting him, and here's a quote from a couple. Here's a couple quotes I should say from Ostrak, Carnell, and Durkin, and this is going to highlight why I think he's going to be the man of the match as well. This is from Thomas Ostrak when asked about his versatility on the pitch. I feel very comfortable. It can be tough against me to play because I can step up higher and press them. I think I can bring both aspects of this to our games, which is good for our playing style. Right off the rip, his ability to step up and press people, it's going to be big because, again, we're talking, you have João Klaus, and you have now Tomas Ostrak and Chris Durkin. That's a lot of players who can help you create chaos. Same time, Carnell said we're using him a lot more in the role as a 6. At all times on the ball, which really helps our build-up play, so he finally reward himself. And then here's Chris Durkin. He's been given more of a little bit of a free role to kind of just run around and put out fires. He's obviously really good on the ball as well. You combine all of those quotes there, and I think you have the most important player in tonight's match because you need to control the midfield. I think tonight's going to be a very important counter-pressing kind of game, and that's going to be when you lose the ball in front of Kansas City's box, you're going to have guys steal to reignite the offense going the other way. That's, I think, going to be even more important. In a game like this, when another team's waiting to counterattack so aggressively, your counter press becomes even more important than your press. And I think Tomas Ostrak's going to be a big part there. I loved the calm.
Last year, we have seen his soccer IQ increase. We've seen him be more comfortable, and top of the box, that's kind of hoping it bounces back out. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, 'cause he wants to blast it?
Of course he wants Klaus. Gets a hand. This is me. And I see him being that guy.
Those were the only shots you got in games, wasn't it?
I just love playing that position. I'm kind of sneaking in and just being a troublemaker. And a lot of times what that troublemaker role gets to do is clean up these guys always focusing on this danger, this striker. And I think these guys are really going to be focused on Klaus, especially after last week.
Talked about this last week. Players who could be really key coming off the bench. Again, if you didn't hear us a little bit earlier, Kansas City's had issues at home. They've dropped. If Kansas City gets an early goal, this is a game that's going to go all the way through the 90, and you can get a late goal that could change your outcome here. So your bench guys are going to be important. St. Louis City subs more than any other team in the MLS. Subs for them today because you provide that level of effort and fire and chaos that we keep talking about St. Louis City, and it could be the nail in the coffin in this game.
I can see that. I would love some subs to come out here and just make it 6-0. That would be the greatest. Wouldn't it be nice for all of our friends coming back from KC?
It would shock me if it goes 6-0, but I would absolutely love to watch it. And how is he having this success? And it takes time to integrate a player over years. And Ostrak's a guy who got here before the team started Thorson, because I know there's a lot of people out there who are really down on Thorson because he hasn't looked as crisp as they wanted. He hasn't put up a lot of goals as a sub yet, and he hasn't pushed for starting minutes yet. But I really think this is a guy. Focus on the arc of a Tomas Ostrak when you think about a guy like Knut Thorson, who came in last year, had to learn a scheme which is very demanding of front players. Another comment from Carnell earlier this week when somebody be easy for an attacking player who probably hasn't played a lot of his life and hugely, pressing. I think Thorson, give him time, and tonight could be the game where he finally breaks through.
Yeah, I think this has been one of the most positive.
I say immediately, and I'm a ray of sunshine over here.
I
Moon.
know, you're so positive.
Before
we
we go,
good.
Moon, I want to say one more thing. To watch out while you're watching this game is going to be, there's 3 rule changes. The ref strike has ended. They're getting the refs back into the groove of things. So there's going to be 3 new rules that are going to be in place tonight. The first one's going to be the off-field play, waves the medical crew on, and now the player has to be removed from the field for 2 minutes of further assessment. Okay, so this essentially stops players from faking an injury. Minutes, so no more BSing around that. I really loved that one. Time substitution rule is the other rule. They're maximizing the effective seconds. If he fails to exit at any point in the field within 10 seconds, this will cause the incoming player to have to wait for actually managing the game. But honestly, this one might be my favorite rule. In-stadium VAR announcements. They're finally going to do what you do when you're actually VAR decisions. That might honestly be my favorite one. These are 3 great rules. I love the MLS is doing it.
I do too. I love this. Typically when they add rules, we're always, this is great. This is great. I see it as two different things with that little, 15 seconds down, 2 minutes off. It's basically a WrestleMania version of being out of the ring. If this guy's down 15 seconds, we're going to have somebody on the side go, 1.
People out there who go to especially in this the section, if a player gets dinged for one of these.
Yeah.
58. That would create a really big sense of tension. And by the way, if people are asking, there are a lot of there's a lot of fine print on some of these rules. Head injuries, things like that, on writhing around in pain. And he might have twisted his ankle, but he also might.
101 call out, all right? An eagle call out to everybody that's at the game. And if you see somebody that goes down that looks like they're diving, everyone just start chanting. 1, 2.
I like this.
3.
Sports. When the Milwaukee Bucks would go to away arenas, Giannis Antetokounmpo, the star for the Milwaukee Bucks, takes forever to take free throws. And so fans, Winnie Park definitely have effect on this game. There's no doubt about that. The players back that up. The fans are killer. They're going to have effect tonight probably in their small numbers. It's going to be a great game, and we're going to have a great time watching.
Get him off. He's got 2 minutes. All right, with that, let's wrap up. I can't wait to enjoy some of the food over here. 9 Mile Garden, we're going to be here hanging out for a little bit. We got Point Fest tickets to give out over by the Point van. Yeah, we're just there's shirts. There's we don't do CDs
come on,
anymore.
get over
anymore. But we got stickers, we got Riz Show swag, we got Point Fest shirts, we got all sorts of stuff. But there's great food, great drink, great everything down here at 9 Mile Garden. If you're watching at home and you've never been here, get here. Watch the game. This place is awesome. Thank you again to 9 Mile Garden for having us out here. I can't wait to do more events here. This place is incredible.
It's amazing. I mean, and you can build literally the perfect meal right now. Get yourself a shake. Here is incredible. You can get yourself a drink. All family, all ages appropriate drinks too. You got some soda. You got some beverages as well. So it's the perfect place to watch the game. You got some bags out here. You got kids kicking the soccer ball around. No better place to watch a city away game, and no better place
for setting everything up.
The
Thanks
best in the
to you
business.
guys for being St. Louisans, fellow St. Louisans, and great people. And I just want to say thanks to Rockio again for always bringing it with this kind of episodes from Podcast Studio. So it's nice to be able to
be out here in the sun.
High five you at the end of an episode. And thanks again. And let's get plenty of
goals.